Hey guys, what's up? MiataMods here. A couple of months back I made a video on how to create your own intake and heat shield. If you didn't see that video, click here to check it out. I had to make some room in the engine bay for that project and my alarm horn was in the way, so I temporarily placed it in the back of the engine bay. In this video I'm not only going to relocate the alarm horn to its final position, but I'm also going to replace it by this one, which is a lot smaller and looks a lot better. Now I've had some problems with the old alarm horn in the past. If it would rain a lot, you can hear the alarm horn making some noises. Sometimes it would also produce some creaks and squeaks whenever the car would vibrate. As of right now, it completely stopped working. So I'm hoping that replacing the alarm horn will fix these problems. I thought that replacing the alarm horn would be a simple swap. But as you can see, the old alarm horn has 3 leads and the new alarm horn only has 2. A positive lead and a negative lead. I opened up the alarm horn to try and figure out why it has 3 leads. And I discovered a whole circuit board inside the housing. This might explain the problems I'm having with the alarm horn, because you have a lot more moisture in the engine bay if you compare it on the inside of the car. Anyway, let me show you the wiring inside the engine bay. As you can see here, we have 3 wires that connect to the alarm horn. The connectors look pretty dodgy if I'm honest, so I would not be surprised if that was causing problems as well. The 3 wires run through the firewall to the inside of the car. To access the alarm I had to remove the glove box. That's pretty easy, just 2 Phillips head screws down here and it comes right out. As you can see, the alarm was glued all the way up there, but some parts were a bit loose, so that might explain why I sometimes hear some weird rattles coming from this area. This is the alarm unit itself. Now the problem is that I could not find a wiring diagram or any information whatsoever about this alarm, which makes this job a little bit harder. What I do know is this. This is the main unit with the antenna. This is the movement sensor. This is the fuse box. And this unit controls the door locking for the central locking system. This wire runs to the LED on the steering column, which flashes when the alarm is armed. And this wire runs to a button on the driver's side, which you can use to arm or disarm the alarm. The 3 wires that run to the alarm horn are entering the car through this hole here. I'm going to pull the 3 wires back into the car so I can have the complete alarm inside the car. But before I can do that, I need to disconnect the battery and cut off the connectors. Now that I got all the wires inside, I'm going to reconnect the alarm horn so I can show you what happens if the alarm is triggered. I reconnected the battery and now I'm going to activate the alarm. It takes about 30 seconds before you can trigger the movement sensor, so we have to wait a moment.
Moments later.
Alright, here we go. You can hear the blinker relay clicking, so the alarm is triggered, but the alarm horn does not produce any sound. I'm going to check the voltage of every wire with my multimeter. When the alarm is off, the red wire produces 12 volt and the yellow one 0.5 volt. Alright, I'll arm the alarm and now the red wire is also 12 volt and the yellow one still 0.5 volt. Now I have to wait so I can trigger the alarm and check the wires again. Here we go. Okay, the alarm is triggered. The red wire is still 12 volts and the yellow one is also 12 volts. Interesting. Apparently the yellow wire switches voltage when the alarm is triggered. So I think I'm just going to remove the old alarm and install the new one on the yellow and black wire and see what happens. I'm first going to test the new alarm horn to see if it's working properly. Let's Pretty simple, just connect the two leads to the battery. Here we go. Jesus. Okay, it's working properly. The new alarm horn has been installed. Now I'm going to reconnect the battery and then trigger the alarm. Alright, here we go. I'm a bit scared for the noise. Okay. It works. Wow. So now I can finally say goodbye to this bulky alarm horn and circuit board. Now that I know that the new alarm horn is working, I'm going to decide where I want to mount it. First I'm going to turn the car around because I need to access the other side of the car. I want to mount the alarm horn inside the wiper cowl below the windscreen. And there's a hole here where I can feed the wire through and then straight through the firewall down there. So I think I'm going to mount it right around here. Before I mount it, I'm going to extend the wires. I've made a video on how to solder wires and connectors. If you want to check it out, click here. So this is the final result. I had to remove this hose to have enough clearance to drill those two holes. I'm going to put this back, and you can just remove this because this is connected to the intake, so it's only air. There's no oil or brake fluid in it, so you can just remove it and put it back later on. As you can see, the alarm horn is mounted down here, and I pointed a bit downwards so it can clear the hood. And I drilled a hole in that rubber grommet down there so I could feed the wires through. And now the wiring is on the inside, so we can continue on the inside of the car. This is where the wire goes through the firewall. It needs to go to the other side of the car, but before I do that, I'm going to cut it to the right length, and then I'm going to solder on a connector on the end of the wire. Now that the wiring is done, I'm going to route it behind the dashboard to the other side. This is the wire from the alarm horn, and to connect the alarm horn to the wire harness, I need to solder the other end of the connector on these two wires. So I'm going to do that now. Now that the other end of the connector is installed, I'm going to hook up the new alarm horn using the new connector and check if it's still working. Here we go. And we have to wait for about 30 seconds before the alarm can trigger itself.
More moments later.
Okay, here we go. It works! So now that the alarm horn is taken care of, I can worry about all this. I don't want to stick it back up there because eventually it will fall down again. So I think I'm going to attach all this to a metal sheet and then mount it up there. I think I'm going to use these two bolts to secure the metal sheet into place. I'm going to use this piece of cardboard and some scissors to make a template for the metal sheet. I think I'm going to go for this layout. So now I'm going to trace this onto a metal sheet. Okay, the metal plate is ready and I've drilled one hole that will go right here. So I'm going to remove this bolt and then do the first test fit. Okay, so I'm going to remove a bit of metal right here so the bracket can sit a little bit lower, and then from here I'm going to bend it a little bit backwards so it can flow with the chassis, and then this will be the second mounting point. So I'm going to drill a hole right here. So that is what I'm going to do now. All right, second test fit. Okay, so I'm going to create a bit more room here so it can fit a little bit better, because it is now hitting this plastic part, and I am going to drill the hole a bit higher so the bracket can sit lower. All right, second test fit. So the fitment is pretty good. I'm going to make that hole a little bit larger, and I'm also going to make this hole a little bit larger, so both bolt and nut are going to fit. And I think I'm done after that. So I'm going to do that right now and then check the fitment one more time. All right, last test fit, I hope. I still don't have enough room to make this bolt fit, so what I'm going to do is drill a second hole a little bit to this side, so I will have enough room for both mounting points. Okay, so this hole has to be big enough, so let's try it one more time. I've added this for some extra support, and now I'm going to install this bolt. Okay, with the added steel plate, the bolt is too short. So I've got a longer bolt here, and I'm going to try that now. And that one fits, so I'm going to use that one. Now that the bracket is in place, I need to figure out where I'm going to place every part of the alarm. And I think I'm going to mount the big unit in the middle, right here. And it fits nicely between this plastic piece and the mounting point on the left side. Then I'm going to mount the movement sensor on the bottom here, and then I'm going to mount the unit for the sensor door locking system all the way on the left side, and then I'm going to mount the fuse box like so. So I'm going to remove the bracket and then draw some lines and the points where I need to drill some holes so I can mount all the parts of the alarm onto the bracket. Okay, so this unit will be going here. Now I need to drill a hole here and here. So this one will go right here. Okay, so this sits here, and then the fuse box, maybe something like this. And then this unit will mount up here. Alright. So those are the holes I'm going to drill. And then I'm going to test fit everything one last time before I'm going to paint this. So I had decided to test fit everything one last time, and I've run into a problem. The unit that controls the central door locking system, that's this one, was mounted all the way on the left, but I do not have enough room here, so I'm going to change it one last time. It seems to have enough room on the top here, so I'm going to mount it here, and then every unit has enough room, and then I can finally start painting the bracket. So I'm going to remove it for the final time, then drill a hole so I can mount it, and then the bracket is finished. This part isn't necessary anymore because the central door locking unit will be mounted here. So I'm going to remove that. Alright, this is the final result, and now I'm going to sand it so all the rust will be removed, and then it's ready for paint. Let's try this, maybe this will go a little bit faster. There we go. Now I'm going to clean it, and then I'm going to paint it. Alright, first one light coat. And then the second heavy coat. While the paint is drying, I'm going to try and clean up the wiring a little bit. Alright, well that's all I can do for now. I think I'm going to route all the wiring behind this plastic piece, so all the wiring is in place for when I'm going to mount everything onto the bracket. Alright, the mounting bracket is done, so now I'm going to use these nuts, bolts and washers to secure everything onto the bracket. Make sure that the wiring is behind this plastic piece. Well, that's that, and now I'm hoping I can mount it with all the alarm parts already on the bracket. Let's see. Whew. Alright guys, that was it. I think I'm going to test the alarm and see if it's still working properly. So yeah, I'm going to reconnect the battery and then arm the alarm. Alright, the alarm is now armed, so we need to wait 30 seconds before I can trigger the alarm.
1 hour later.
Alright, here we go. Okay, yeah, it's still working. Awesome. So the only thing I need to do now is reinstall the glove box, and then this project is done. Well guys, that was a pretty long video about a pretty specific subject, but there was almost no info available online about the Mazda alarm. So I hope this video is helpful for other owners who are also struggling with their Mazda alarm. Yes, you can rip the whole alarm out and be done with it, but I really like the fact that my car has an alarm and a central locking system, and I just want to keep it the way it is, but with a smaller, nicer alarm horn, and I think I succeeded in that. I really like the end result, and I'm hoping that the alarm horn problems are a thing of the past. If you find this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. The tools and parts you'll need for this job are in the video description, as well as my social media links. If you haven't subscribed already, click on the MiataMods logo below, and don't forget to turn on notifications. For more MiataMods videos, click here. Thanks for watching. Bye guys.